Hello, everybody. This is James Restivo from Crow Canyon Software. I'm going to give it a couple extra minutes here for some folks to trickle in, and then we'll go ahead and get started with the webinar. I'm not sharing my screen yet, so you shouldn't see anything just yet, but I'll start sharing my screen momentarily, and then you'll see a browser window. So let's give it a couple more minutes here, then we'll have some, then we'll get going. So just bear with us for a couple minutes. All right, looks like we've got a few more folks trickling in, but we'll just go ahead and get going with the workshop today. So this is a workshop on our NITRO Studio generate document action in our custom actions tool. Before we dive into that, a couple of things up front. I know some of you have attended our webinars in the past, so this should be pretty familiar with you for you. But for those who haven't, there is a questions box in the go to webinar screen on the panel. You'll see there's a question section. You can just go ahead and pop your question into that box. We also have Scott Restivo on the call. He can answer the question live through that tool, or he will just chime in and ask the question to me on the webinar itself. So either way. So certainly pop your question in there anytime. Happy to get those answered for you. A couple of things, we have some other upcoming webinars and workshops I want to point out to you. There's going to be a few workshops coming up about NITRO Studio forms and workflow tools, limitations and costs of using Microsoft's Power Platform, using SharePoint to manage facilities requests and work orders. So those are all coming up in the month of March. And then our next workshop is going to be later in March, or right around the middle of March, actually. It's going to be about list views, list rollup, and reporting. So keep an eye out for that. Go ahead, sign up. As with all the webinars, if you sign up and can't attend, we'll make sure you get a recording of it afterwards. We'll send that over to you. And as always, reach out to us for any questions and comments that you might have. We're happy to take our customers' feedback. We love to hear from you. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started with the generate document action and how it can help you to manage creating documents in through the NITRO Studio process when running workflows and actions. So the first step, when we're going through it, we want to go into our custom actions tool. So we can pop that open. And then we'll select our list that we want to operate on. All right, pulled it up over here on this tab, and it's going to be on this tickets list. We're using this training site as our kind of demo area to show you what the tool is about. And we've added the generate document action to one of our actions here. I'll show that to you. So just pop open this custom action. And you'll see that we have a couple of these generate document capabilities here. So there's three types of documents that you can generate through the custom action tool. There's a Word document, there's a PDF, and then there's an Excel file. So the Word document is going to be coming from a Word template. I'll show you how to set up a Word template. We have a couple of we have one set up in this demo site. There's for the Excel file, there's a way you set up the Excel file for the template. I'll show you how to do that one. And then there's a PDF, which is leveraging our print manager settings. So we'll start with the Word document because that's probably one of the more common ones that people will be using. So let's pop into that. And you'll see you have the options here in the document template section. So this top section should be pretty familiar to you. This is pretty common throughout our custom action tools. But this is where we get into the meat of it, this document template. And so this is where we can choose of the three options. So you have a Word template, you can have a Excel template, or the list print template or this list item template is going to be the print template that we can pull from. So we're pointing this tool to a particular file that we have in a document library. So this document library happens to live in our site assets folder, and this is the file that we called it this ticket file template. When we're adding our column mapping, so on the Word document, there's going to be some merge fields, and I'll show you how to add those into the Word document. But there's once you have those on your document, you'll have those as options in the merge field dropdown. And then you just simply select which one you want and say what you want to put in it. So this is the field coming from the ticket list that we're working on. We're just going to add that in there. And then now the assigned staff placeholder in that template is going to take in the assigned staff value from the ticket item when we run this action. You can also use these functions over here on the right-hand side, so you can get some more interesting data into your, into your template. So that's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. But the key part is getting those merge fields put together on that Word document. So let me show you that piece of it. So this lives in our site assets folder over here. And this is the ticket file template we were just referencing. I'll give this a moment to pull up. Now, one key thing to note here is that even though I'm pulling this up in the browser version of Word, we want to set these merge fields up in the desktop version of Word. You can't actually set them up in the browser version. So that's a key point to make, is that you have to open this up in the desktop app in order to add those merge fields to it. So I'm gonna pop this open and take a minute to pop up. But you'll see that there's gonna be a setting. It's actually on the insert tab at the top of Word. So if you go to insert, so here's our Word document. Here's the insert tab that I'm clicking over to. And then there's a section called quick parts. So this quick parts area is where you're going to reference that merge field. So we'll click on quick parts and we'll select field. We're going to insert a field. Now the type of field we're going to insert is going to be called a merge field, and that's in this list here on the left-hand side of this dialog that popped up. So there's a merge field. Then we can just give it a name, webinar. I'll just give it webinar field. So this name doesn't have to match the name in the column on your SharePoint list, which you might have assumed already, but I just want to make that point clear. You don't have to have this field name be the same that it is on the SharePoint list. It can be completely different. Just hit OK, and that's it. Now it's added in there. So really, we've played around with different ways of adding this, and this is really the only way you can do it is through this quick parts merge field option, is to add it to your, to your document. We tried doing it manually, it just doesn't work. Even copying and pasting this sometimes just doesn't quite work that well. So we always recommend, click where you want to add it, whether it's in one of the, a box on your table or somewhere else. You want to make sure your cursor is there, and then you hit your quick parts field, merge field option, give the name, and then hit OK. All right, and one of the cool things about the Word document, something that's a little different from the Word document and the Excel document, is the associated items. So we have a time tracking list here in our IT help desk that we're going to be referencing in this Word document, and we just simply put a reference to it in the Word document. We'll make that when we go back to our form over here. We go to our custom action. You can see we're just taking that time tracking merge field and referencing the time tracking column that's on our list, and it's going to populate that information however many items are there. Now, one of the things I want to highlight too here is that you can set up that association with that time tracking list. So that's a sub list to the ticket list. That association, typically you're going to be setting that up through NITRO forms. One of the key things right now that that you're going to have to do if you want to use an associated item with a merge field with this generate document action is you're actually going to want to set it up in this linked items. So if you go to the linked items tool, this is where you need to configure that column. So you do, while you configure it in NITRO Forms, you do actually have to configure it here as well in order for that generate document action to read that associated item. So it does have to be done in both places. So that's another important point to make, is that it has to be here and in the NITRO form. So then if you have the settings here, once you map your columns, you get your merge fields, map your columns to it, you can decide where you want to save it. So that document can be saved in a document library, or you can save it as an attachment to the current item. In this case, what we're doing is we're creating, we got this folder here. One of the actions you see is a create folder action, which, I know Microsoft doesn't want you to use folders, so we kind of shy away from that sometimes, but just for the purposes of this demo, we're showing it. And there's a folder path name, which we're referencing just that ticket ID. So this is actually a placeholder that we're referencing for that ID field. And I believe we can use any placeholder there. We just have to have those percentage brackets around, the %, field display name, field internal name, %, with the square brackets around it. And then we can, that gives us a variable that we can use in our naming conventions. So we could choose what we want to call the file name. We can choose overwrite an existing file if we wanted to. And then we could also save it as either a doc file or a docx file. So both of those options are available. If you also want the user to have some input into the name or title of that file, you could do that. A lot of times, that's possible too. Now we are requiring the name here, but you could also have them the user fill out other fields in that document library metadata if you wanted to. Okay, so that's the generate document action for the Word document. Next one I'm going to go into is Excel, and it's really basically the same. The biggest difference here is going to be how you set up that Excel template, and that's really the key that we're going to be talking about with this one. You see it's all the same settings. We've got our merge fields that we're referencing, and we're just pulling that information into our list, and then mapping the fields together, and then defining where we save it. So all that's pretty much going to be the same across the board for whether it's a Word document or a PDF document or a Excel file. So let's go over to the Excel file and show you what that looks like. So if we go into our site contents, actually let me go over here. I'll just go back a page. Actually, just go ahead and open it up again from here, make it a little easier. And take a file template. This is our Excel file. Now this Excel file, you don't have that merge fields option. So you can actually do this and get this setup going from within the browser interface for the Excel file. So you don't have to open up in the desktop app to modify those fields. And what we're doing is referencing the field name, we're creating the merge field essentially with these square brackets, and it's the double square brackets in the Excel file. So if you do double square bracket, field name, double square bracket, that will tell our tool to, when they go and reference this Excel file, these are the fields we want to pull into it. And these are the fields we want to reference, and these are the ones we can use to map up to our existing columns in SharePoint. Now, one key difference here you're going to notice is with the time tracking. That's why it was important to have it on the Word document, and we have it here too. The way Excel works and the way the formatting works, this is the best way we could get this to line up the way we want it to line up. So we're looking at here, there's a generic TT field which we're referencing, and if you look back at that custom action, there's one TT field that we're referencing. But we've gone and created that TT field across multiple columns, multiple rows. And the reason we've done that is each one of these is going to be a separate item from that list. So you want to make sure you create as many rows and columns here as you want to pull into your template. Now, what we're referencing here, what these numbers mean, so it goes from 0 to whatever number you want. So we're referencing the first row of associated items, associated time tracking to this item that we're running that generate document action. Then the second row is going to be indicated as a 1, and the third row is going to be indicated as a 2. Now the number over here, this right-hand field, is actually a reference to the view of the list. So if we go back to our linked items column, you'll see what we've done here is we've linked it to a view. So we have this linked view here called all items. So what we actually need to do is go to this all items view and count how many columns over are the fields that we need to pull in. So we can reference the technician field, which is going to be the third column over, but we actually reference it as 2 because of that. Like I noted, it goes from 0 and up. It doesn't start at 1, it starts at 0. So it's kind of a key distinction to make. So the third column over in that view is going to be number 2. The fourth column over is going to be number 3. Fifth column is number 4, et cetera, et cetera. So you figure, which field you're going to be pulling in because you count it over. This one's number 7, so or the 8th one over, so we use the number 7 in there, and we can pull it in. That's one of the key differences. It does take a little more management to set up and associated or linked items with the Excel file versus the Word document, but I want to show you how you can do it so that you have that tool available to you when you're generating these documents. And then the third one that we go through for the generate document action is to create the PDF. And this one's a little more straightforward, more straightforward than that template. Now this, like I said, ties back to our print manager tool. So we're actually leveraging whatever template we've created over in the print manager tool. So we've gone and created this ticket template. It's one of our item templates. So when you're using print manager, you'll note that there's a list print template and an item print template. This is the one we're using. This is the one we're referencing in that generate document action. And then you just set this up how you would any other print template. This one, we kept it consistent for the purposes of this webinar. We kept it consistent across what we did for the Word file and the Excel file. But you can see it's kind of laid out the same way. And we're just referencing our fields over here on the right-hand side, and we don't have to do any mapping because now we're actually directly referencing the fields in the list, and so you don't have that mapping need as part of it. So it takes that step out when you're generating it as a PDF, and so you use it, and then you can reuse that print template across other areas of the program as well. And then, similar to the other two tools, we're either saving it as a document library or saving it as an attachment to the current item. And then we're also could have the user input some fields onto it. And then there's also an option to save it as a PDF or a Word document. So we could actually decide to save this as a Word document using that print template. So if you already have a print template set up that you don't want to recreate in a Microsoft Word template, you could just go ahead and do that. Use this print template and then save it as a Word file in that document library where you want it. So that's pretty much the run of it. I mean, that's those are the 3 different ways you can save that file from a generate document action, and the options you have available for creating those templates. So we'll go ahead and see if there's any questions out there. Let's see.
When using the print template, how do you check the size to 8 by 11 or have page breaks? When using, I guess, the word template, I suppose.
I think
Wouldn't that be just part of the template itself? I mean, the Word document either has 1 page, 2 page, 3 pages, right?
well, that's actually an interesting point. So I think if you're using the Word template or saving this as a Word document when using the item print template, you're going to potentially get multiple pages. I don't think we have a page break indicator in here, and that's a really good suggestion that we should probably have in here, some kind of page break to indicate multiple pages in the print template. And one limitation that we have right now when you're using it as a PDF is that it will save everything to 1 page of that PDF. So you do want to be careful if you have a lot of content, it's going to scrunch it down and put it onto 1 page in that PDF. The Word document will go as long as it needs to, but the PDF will scrunch it down into that the one file, 1 page, I should say. Okay. Any other questions?
That was the only one that was associated with this printing aspect, but yeah, so that's good.
Okay, excellent. So yeah, so if any questions pop up after the webinar, shoot them across to us in reviewing the video. If there's something that pops to mind that you didn't think about on this call, that on this
Well,
webinar,
wait a minute,
that's, oh, go ahead,
James.
go
What
ahead.
about putting a custom action button? And, so you're in a form itself, and you can generate the document by pressing the button, right? Is that Did you go over that?
No, no, I didn't. I was kind of specifying the generate document part of it, but that's absolutely true. Is that we can go, this close and file button is going to be part of that, part of that list. And so we can certainly add that through, Nitro Forms or through any other tool. We can, through Nitro Forms, or we can have it in the ribbon, that close and file button, which has that generate document action on it. So that gives you a way to just click the button and generate that document. So it should be here
Right.
in
That can show up on the form or in the ribbon or even in the ECB, that three dots next to each item.
that's exactly right. So it can show up here. We can pop it onto the form itself, or we can have that custom action appear here. So, so it's giving you a way to do that. Here it is in the ECB menu, close and file. So three different ways to start running that action, and then it shows you all the possibilities for how to save that and how to generate those documents.
Now, when you talk about saving it, you're saving it to a file location or as an attachment on the actual document, right? On the actual list item, right?
You can choose either. So you're saving it to a document library in SharePoint, or you're saving it to the item itself. So both those options, either one of those options are available.
Uh, One person asked about the recorded version of the presentation. Yes, there will be, and we'll make that available to everybody who signed up. But
Yeah.
follow along on the attachments thing.
Mhm.
When you attach it to an item, what we did in the Microsoft Flow, which is now called Power Automate webinar we showed that you can actually run the generate document, generate like a certificate or invoice or purchase order or whatever from the list item, attach it to the list item, and then by running this Microsoft Flow or Power Automate as they call it now, whatever, you can actually have it sent not only to a document library, that attachment can be sent to OneDrive or Dropbox or any other outside system. So there is a
Right.
possibility of generating the document and then saving it through a flow out, or you probably could do it with our REST API now too, saving it out to a outside system like, well, OneDrive,
Oh, yeah.
Dropbox, and any of
Right.
those others. So the document can go different places, and of course you can email the document too once it's attached, right, James? Or
Yeah, yeah. I mean, once you have it attached, if you have an attachment on one of these fields, we have the email manager piece of it too, which can include, um, the attachments from the item itself.
well, actually, in the custom action
That's
itself,
true too. Mhm.
after generate document action, you could add a send mail action.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
So let's go look at custom actions again, and you can see that. I think most people realize this, but you can have a lot more than one action in a custom action. It can be a whole series of actions. So let's take a quick look at that just to
Yeah,
show the many possibilities when you start stringing these processes together, right?
yeah, absolutely. That's right.
So
So
you can
yeah,
kind of,
generate the document, then you can do something else with that document. So absolutely, yeah. I mean,
yeah, let's
that's
go through
possible.
that. So you have this custom action, and then you generated Excel, generated PDF, then you can have another one called send mail. So now it's
Right.
going to send whatever you attached
Right.
to wherever, based, all this, say, include items, attachments, because it's now an attachment item. So you
That's
can
right.
generate it and then send it. And that's really important for, like, say you generate a purchase order, a purchase request, or some kind of access request, whatever, and then you want to save it as a PDF and send it off, or a Word document or whatever, a contract even, and send it off to somebody else. All that can be done
Mhm.
in one fell swoop by having these actions kick off in sequence.
That's
Okay.
right. That's right.
And the other point about the action, you can, and I think you might have pointed this out, but the conditions on the custom action, look up, even in the send mail action, it could only execute for certain people under certain conditions too, when to execute this action. So you can make this very kind of intricate, as intricate as needed. You can make it very simple too, but you can make it as intricate as needed. So what you can say is the only people who can generate documents is the procurement specialist or the IT manager or whoever. So
That's
this
right.
custom button will only show up for that person. If that's the only person who generate the document.
Yeah.
Or you can
So you can,
generate the document, the only person who can send it could be the IT manager or something. So all kinds of ways to make it happen.
yeah, I mean, you can do that at a couple different levels. That's absolutely right. I mean, we could when to execute the action, we'll say that, like you said, the person has to be in a certain group or in a certain field on the form. But we can also control that from the button level from Nitro Forms. You can permission that button itself to either appear or not appear based on the logged in user. So yeah, it's different ways you can control who can do what. Absolutely.
Right, and the generate document is just one part of all the possibilities for custom actions. So it's when you get
Absolutely.
all that power of custom actions and all its capabilities, which is a very extensive world in itself as to how you can set up these workflows to automate your business processes. So I just wanted to point
That's
that
right.
out.
Yep. No, that's good. That's very good. That's absolutely right. Yeah, so it's part of a larger picture. Absolutely. I mean, this is just one. We're focusing on this as one action, but I think absolutely that makes sense that you put in the context of the broader usage of it. So that's absolutely true. Um, Good. All right. So I'll just mention again, we have some upcoming webinars that are you can sign up for on these webinar pages. I already went through the titles earlier, so I won't bore you with going through that again. Some of the upcoming workshops as well. We will be sending out the recording of this, so even if you can't make one of our webinars or workshops and you want to get the video, just go ahead and sign up. We'll make sure you get it. I do also want to point out, if you're in the NITRO Studio app interface in this NITRO resources section, we should have those videos available through the through that link. So if you just click the link for NITRO tutorials, these workshop videos plus other videos and other information about NITRO Studio will be available to you. Just gives you a one-stop shop for accessing those resources and seeing what's there. So if you missed whatever reason missed the email or you forgot to sign up for one of these and you want to see the workshop video, absolutely all that information should be accessible through here on the right hand side in Nitro Resources, or poke around on our website page and you'll see there's some on-demand workshop videos as well that we have out there. So lots of ways to get that access to that information. And as always, if you shoot us an email, we're comments, feedback, questions, we're happy to get those emails and we're interact with our customers.
That's right, and we're coming up to some shows. The spring show season starting will be in Sacramento on March 21st, then Branson, Missouri for the North American Collaboration Summit, April 1st and 2nd. James will be in DC SharePoint Fest on April 15th to 17th. I'll be at the Houston SharePoint Saturday, April 18th, and there's a show in Dallas called the Power Dive 365 in Dallas at April 23rd. I believe it is. And then, of course, there's a big show in May in Vegas, which is the 19th through 21st, I believe, in Las Vegas. So we got a busy schedule coming, a busy show schedule, and hopefully we'll meet some of you there. And also, like James mentioned, there's a number of webinars coming up that you hopefully can participate in and get some information. And also, like James said, send us any questions, give a call. We're glad to discuss and find out what's required, what your needs are. We base most of our development enhancements on feedback from customers, and so that's very important to us.
Yep,
Okay,
that's
thank
right.
you.
Very good. All right. Well, thanks for that. And thanks everyone for joining today, and have a great rest of your day. Take care.